Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the finished article, All Things WWE. So, we're going to pick up from the last WWE video. We're going to go through the current state of the WWE, and we're going to touch on a couple of topics that we've picked out. I'll hand it over to Shaz. Let him introduce himself.
Yes, boys. What's happening? Hope everyone's well. Hope everyone's enjoying this bank holiday weekend. As Shaz has said, we're going to cover all things WWE, especially the current state. So in the last episode, we covered NXT, and now we're going to be covering over Raw and SmackDown and some of the key topics
as well as NXT.
But let's go.
But we're going to basically be covering all three brands. So Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and we'll rank them in order of what we like. So the first thing I'm going to touch on, just going to bring it up at the bottom there, Seth Rollins as the Messiah. Now, I absolutely hate this gimmick. It actually started around the same time as the TV show called The Messiah, which I haven't even seen, and I'm probably not going to watch. But I don't get where they're coming from with this gimmick. For the greater good, or the vision or whatever. What is the vision? What is Seth Rollins' vision? It's just ridiculous. He needs to drop the gimmick before it ruins his career. He's already on a downward spiral since he's come onto this gimmick, and I think if he carries on, it's just going to run him down even further. He's still one of the top wrestlers in the ring, but the gimmick doesn't do him any justice. It makes him look like a coward in some instances.
I got to be honest with you, Shaz. I completely agree with everything you said. For me, I liken this to, forget the Messiah, I call this the demise of Seth Rollins. That's what I'm going to refer to this as.
Exactly, the demise of Seth Rollins.
The guy came in through NXT, was bombing shows, making hits, making name for himself.
Then curb stomping people out of
the main roster. Came onto the roster, worked under the Shield, legendary faction. Then he, correct me if I'm wrong, Shaz, he then ended up working as Hunter's lapdog. Then became Seth freaking Rollins. Yeah. And then I have no idea where the Messiah came from. I know we all
like I said, the only thing I can think of is that they picked it up from a TV show, The Messiah, because it came out around. I can't remember when that show came out, but it was around the same time Seth started the gimmick. His gimmick started as the Messiah just after the TV show. I think what they were trying to do is, obviously, they've got the TV show The Messiah, and there was a lot of talk about it, and a lot of people were watching it. And I think they were trying to get that buzz from that show onto WWE with using the gimmick as the Messiah for Seth Rollins, which it didn't work. So they should have just ditched it, bro. They should have ditched it.
And I think this is... So there's a lot I have to say about WWE to creative. I mean, there's some good elements, but I think this has to be probably one of the worst. I think this is basically running to last resort and saying, okay, let me just give you the Messiah role, because I liked him when he was Seth freaking Rollins. I think he had his own identity. I thought he made a name and he was standing up for himself. Now, I understand there's a difference between going heel like Reigns has done with Paul Heyman, because it works. But for Seth Rollins, he ended up recruiting a couple of people into his faction. But for me, that gimmick was just so poor and not well written. So, yeah, for me, it's a big thumbs down, Wes.
No, exactly. I mean, I don't understand where they're going with this gimmick. What else can he do besides getting... I mean, the only thing that could help his situation as the Messiah is getting another disciple, like he had he had two at one point. He had Austin Theory, who's gone back down to NXT, and he had Buddy Murphy. So it's just one of those things. I think they will drop this gimmick soon, because it's awful, man.
I'm hoping that Seth Rollins, the Messiah gimmick, ends at the hands of Cesaro at WrestleMania. So I'm hoping he's going to spin him into reality and common sense. and then just let's be done with the storyline, because for me, I don't see it. He's a top level performer. He should be fighting for championships. You got Reigns as well. I wanted to see him going back and fight Reigns post WrestleMania, just to
Yeah.
reignite that feud. That for me works for Seth Rollins. This is just
Yeah. Yeah.
just
I
rubbish.
think what they could do is get Seth back as what he was before this stupid Messiah gimmick, get him back in the title hunt, even if it's just for the IC title against the winner of Big E and Apollo Crews. I think Seth Rollins could elevate either of those talents with the talent that he's got and they've got. They could do some great matches. Big E and Apollo Crews against Seth Rollins. That'd be really good to see.
Absolutely.
So yeah, just touching on that. I'm not sure if you've heard, but it was announced that Big E and Apollo Crews are going to be fighting in a Nigerian drum fight.
That's news to me. I mean,
I mean, it was announced on SmackDown, or Apollo Crews made the stipulation and the challenge to Big E. Now, I've never heard of a Nigerian drum fight, but basically it's no rules, no limitations. So it's just basically a hardcore match or no falls count anywhere match. Sorry, or no DQ, whatever you want to call it. There's so many names for these type of matches. It's just calling it a Nigerian drum fight is just, I don't know.
I think Apollo Crews is reaching out to his heritage there. If he's gone,
Yeah, the
I mean,
whole I like how Apollo Crews has changed his gimmick. I really do. The heel turn, it's done wonders for him so far. I think it's elevated him up a bit. It's got him more TV time. The only thing I don't like is that he now speaks with a Nigerian accent.
I'll be back in a second. You carry on. Carry on.
Yeah, no worries. I just don't like the fact that he speaks with that Nigerian accent. I think it's a bit silly because we all know that that's not really his accent. The same thing happened with Kofi Kingston when he first started. He had the Jamaican accent and then he lost it. And I think it's a bit silly that that Apollo Crews is going to be doing the same thing. He's gone from not speaking as with a Nigerian accent to now speaking with a Nigerian accent all of a sudden. Like we're not going to notice his accent's changed. I mean, what's that all about? So I don't know if you heard that, Shaz. Like Apollo Crews has done basically what Kofi Kingston's done, but the other way around. Kofi Kingston started with a Jamaican accent and then he lost it. And Apollo Crews has gone from not having a Nigerian accent to having a Nigerian accent. Like, we're not going to notice his accent's changed. I mean, what is this? Did the WWE think the fans are that stupid?
Well, I go back to it. We talked about it, and we're going to touch upon it now. As the title says, the state of WWE. So we've gone from the Attitude Era from the 90s all the way to this. So either
Yeah.
Vince has just gone senile, or he's completely lost it. Because as me and Shaz mentioned the other day in our NXT podcast, if you look at the storylines, if you look at the way that these guys are building the guys up in NXT, it's more of what we've been used to growing up. I mean, guys, anyone that's watching, please give us your thoughts, because it'd be interesting to know if you've been watching wrestling or what you think this current state is. Because right now, to myself and Shaz, it just seems like they might as well hire both of us, because we do a damn better job than bloody Seth and Rollins Messiah and what they're doing with Big E and Apollo Crews. I mean, just nonsensical, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, those are just two things that we've mentioned, and we're not happy with either. So you can see where this video is going. I know one thing I actually want to touch on that I actually have actually liked. So is this Shaz mentioned it, the awakening of the rated R superstar. The way that WWE have brought Edge back and built him up has been brilliant. From last year when he won the Royal Rumble, he fought Randy Orton. He got injured and he was out until the Royal Rumble again. But since he's come back this year in the Royal Rumble, I don't think he's been beaten. He won the Royal Rumble and he's fought Jey Uso on SmackDown. His first match in about 10 years on SmackDown. Now, the one thing I wanted to mention is his promo on SmackDown. where he's basically said he's gone back to that rated R superstar. Um, Brilliant promo. It reminded me a lot of the Attitude Era type of promos, and rightfully so. That's where Edge has come from. He was one of the stars going through, the Attitude Era when he was with Christian as the tag team, and then after he was the rated R superstar. He's done it all in WWE, and I think having him back as a rated R superstar going into WrestleMania, brilliant.
Yeah,
Brilliant
no,
touch.
I agree with you. I mean, for me, that's why I wanted to touch upon this briefly. I know you've covered quite a lot of it. It's literally just the fact that he's become now the ultimate opportunist again. And
Yes.
you know what? I'm gonna put kudos on Daniel Bryan here, because yes, he shouldn't be in the title fight, but you know what? Based on what we've been seeing over the last 15, 20 years, and especially going back to WrestleMania 30, where Daniel Bryan did it there, I have to say, you know what? His character lends well for putting over. And I have to say, Roman Reigns is not going to be sleeping well. I think
No.
for me, his reign's going to end. Now, whoever it goes to, I really don't mind whether it goes to Bryan, whether it goes to Edge. I think either of them are worthy champions. And
The thing is, you know that I have a problem with Daniel Bryan being in the match alone. He shouldn't be there. But I'm not going to go into that because I already spoke about that in the last
yeah,
video about WrestleMania. I don't want to go on another rant about it. But have you seen the memes online of Daniel Bryan?
yeah, I've seen.
So there's one where there's Godzilla, King Kong, Godzilla versus King Kong versus Daniel Bryan. And then you've got, I don't know if you remember, there was an old game on the Nintendo called Spy versus Spy.
Yeah.
They've changed that to Spy versus Daniel Bryan. And it's
Uh,
just going on and on.
Guys,
They're
let
just
me
chucking
just
Daniel Bryan into all these.
let me nip one thing in the bud. So Shaz, completely agree with your disapproval of Daniel Bryan. This is what these podcasts are all about: sharing opinions, sharing
Yeah,
discussions, and we like
definitely,
that.
definitely. So
But
have those debates and good
exactly,
discussions, bro.
one thing we have to say is yes, Shaz is absolutely correct. It's not right, but let's be honest, it's far better than any other storyline we have seen. I mean, if you look at the uh, Raw Championship match, I
Let's
mean,
not.
come on. I was hoping WWE do big. They bring
Yeah.
back your boy Brock Lesnar, but nah, we
Uh,
got Drew McIntyre.
we've got
And
Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley.
we got
Now, I
Bobby.
don't know if you actually know this, but Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley was actually a main event in TNA. Because they were both in Impact Wrestling back then, and I think it was on their biggest pay per view of the year, which they call it Slammiversary. Um, and this match was for the title, for the Impact title. And people are just thinking that WWE can't come up with their own matches, and they're copying off TNA. It's just crazy. But you're right, yeah. Drew McIntyre, he's lost the title to Bobby Lashley. He's not had his rematch yet, I don't think. Has he?
No, he
Did he
has
have his rematch at Fastlane?
no.
No, he lost it after Fastlane, didn't he?
Yeah,
No, he lost it at the Elimination Chamber, didn't he?
yeah, but I don't think he's had his rematch for it though.
Did
That's
he not have a rematch at
no.
Fastlane? No, he fought Sheamus at Fastlane, didn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. So yeah, he gets his rematch. What I want to see here is Bobby Lashley beat Drew McIntyre. It's probably going to be a long match because Drew McIntyre is not going to be easy to beat. But I want to see Bobby Lashley come out as the winner, get his actual WrestleMania moment, which him winning the title on an episode of Raw from the Miz so easily was just stupid. They
that's
should have saved it. They should have had the Miz keep the title to at least WrestleMania, and then maybe fight Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre in a triple threat match,
exactly.
and have Bobby Lashley
Why,
win his first
why,
world title at WrestleMania. I mean, they've taken such a big moment away from him by giving him it on Raw.
yeah,
They
but
should have just let him have it at
that's why
WrestleMania, bro.
to highlight again the storyline issues. So you had the Miz win it. The next time you have him lose it or drop it, then
Yeah,
you have basically got you got
daft.
Bobby Lashley basically in the Hurt Business. Now what he ended up doing, and I know Shaz is going to brief. We might as well bring up the subtitle for the Hurt Business.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
Now you got look at it. You got them self imploding. So basically, what my man Lashley does is he gets his henchman, good old Shelton Benjamin, and who's the other guy? Cedric
Frederick
Alexander.
Alexander,
He
yeah.
basically says, "Guys, I want you to take out anybody in the roster,
Anybody and everybody.
anybody and everybody, and the title opportunities is yours." They manage to fluff their lines as always. They then self implode, and actually, it's more likely causing them problems than actually solutions. So I'm like,
Bro,
okay, this isn't good.
bro.
And
The
then you
way
know,
they've handled the Hurt Business. I mean, since MVP came back, right? I wasn't really big on MVP coming back. I think it was last year at WrestleMania he came back, weren't it?
yeah,
Yeah. But since he's come back, he's done a lot for a lot of the talent at WWE. If you look, before MVP was with Bobby Lashley, Bobby Lashley was in stupid angles where he's fighting Rusev for the love of Rusev's real life wife.
yeah,
He
that's
was in some ridiculous storylines. Um, Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander were really nowhere to be seen on Raw.
no,
And then MVP brought them all together as the Hurt Business, and they've had more TV time in a year than they've probably had in the last 5 years together.
no. I agree. I agree. That's what I mean.
Especially Shelton Benjamin. Now, I actually think Shelton Benjamin is so underrated. He's such, even at his age, he's such a good athlete. He's such a good athlete still, and not just those. MVP hasn't just helped those people; he's helped other people. Like if you look, the feuds that they were in against originally it was Cedric Alexander. You know, it gave him TV time. Mustafa Ali, Ricochet. Do you know what I mean? They brought these people into the feuds with them, and they were getting more TV time because of this feud because of MVP.
Yeah, it's TV time. So you've got to, if you look at, for example,
That's
Mustafa
what every
Ali.
wrestler wants, bro. Is TV time.
Yeah,
Now,
but you got to
since
understand. Before you carry on, so you got to
yeah, no,
understand
go
one
for it,
thing.
go for it.
So in a nutshell, the way it works is you build up a storyline and you give it a crescendo. You give it a start, middle, and end. But
Mm-hmm.
what you're finding out is Mustafa Ali, they actually played that storyline really well because they ended up introducing him as the leader of
Retribution.
Retribution.
Another
But
another stable that just
what they've done
disappeared.
is what they've done is they've just completely dismantled that stable, uh, and I just don't understand the angle. But I'm gonna let Shaz carry on. But I just wanted to throw that point out there.
Yeah, no, exactly. So as I was just going to go on to, so since the feud with MVP and the Hurt Business, Ricochet hasn't been seen really on TV until just this past Monday, where he had that little match with Drew McIntyre, which he was never going to win. So a lot of talent's been wasted, and they did the same with Mustafa Ali. He came out and attacked Drew McIntyre, which I think was brilliant. Because no one saw it coming. No one saw Mustafa Ali coming out to attack Drew McIntyre. I wouldn't have expected it with the way WWE are handling things. But having Mustafa Ali do it was brilliant. Even though he lost or he wasn't successful with it, it was still good to see. And then you had King Corbin from SmackDown come. I mean,
Yeah,
that's another thing. Where's this cross-platform, cross-brand thing coming from? I thought if you weren't for SmackDown, you were exclusive to SmackDown. I
yeah, no,
mean, they just change
I
the
agree.
rules whenever they feel like it. It's just WWE are mad. It's just mad. I mean, I know sometimes they do have brand promotional matches around Survivor Series and maybe bragging rights, pay per views, but they don't usually do it like this. They don't usually have someone just pop up out of nowhere um, and just randomly, not randomly attack, but attack someone on another brand. Which it is. I think they're trying to use it as a shock factor. Maybe they're maybe trying to do things out of the box, which I kind of like. I want to see WWE do more out of the box things.
Yeah, but
Um,
there are better ways of doing it. I've got to be honest with you. If you want my honest opinion, I think you need to drop this whole gimmick around uh, interpromotional brands and just say, look, whether you're on Raw, SmackDown, let them interchange and make the storylines. Let's make the storylines more enlightening. But that's
so
my take on
one
it.
last thing I wanted to touch on before we do finish this video is NXT is set up differently to WWE's Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah,
So Raw and SmackDown have a pay per view every month. Sometimes they have a network special, and then they have the big four pay per views: Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, right?
Correct.
But if you look at NXT, they only have a takeover every couple of months, and they're usually around WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, SummerSlam. So they only have four big pay per views a year. I mean, see, yes, they've had some network specials like Halloween Havoc and the Great American Bash, which they probably wouldn't have had if it wasn't for the pandemic. Now, I want to see WWE go back to that format. I want to see WWE only have four pay per views a year. It gives them a chance to build the storylines and matches up to them pay per views. It'll make the matches um, more exciting. There'll be more hype and want to watch those pay per views. There'll be more eyes on those actual pay per views because the matches have been built up so much. I mean, yes, if WWE go down the line, let's say they go back to that format and they have Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre scheduled for the pay per view, but then they fight every week on Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah, I agree. So for me, I think they just need to have better storylines and how they produce that. They just need to be more creative. They need to get people involved in this thing. And I'll be honest with you, if you keep going back to the same repetitive storylines you've seen before, it's pointless. You need to have more and more people there joining and hashing out the storylines. Apologies, guys. I believe our co-host has just had some streaming issues, so I will just make sure he's okay to join. But guys, anyone that's watching, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you think of the current state of WWE. Let us know how you think things should be going forward, or if there's anything you want us to see covering forward. But until next time, guys, have a good weekend, and we'll catch up with you soon. Take it easy.